When you are thinking about purchasing a new home, there's a couple things you want to make sure you completely avoid so you don't run the risk of losing the home that you've fallen in love with. The first thing on that list is making any sort of financial changes. I know the tendency is to start looking at furniture, start looking at appliances when you know which house you're going to move into, but even doing things like that could potentially impact your ability to purchase that home. So I've had clients in the past where they have found the home that they love, they have moved forward with the process, realized that they need to purchase a washer and dryer, maybe it didn't come with the home, and if they swipe their credit card to do that, it could potentially throw off their debt to income ratio, change their credit score, and you just want to avoid doing anything like that that could potentially impact your financing, because at the end of the day, they will still rerun your credit or at least look at your big financial picture before you close on the home. So that 30-day period of time between finding the home you want and closing on it, it's important not to make any financial changes. Even to go as far as potentially needing to re-sign a lease on a car or even open a new line of credit because the grocery store is offering 20% off if you do so. Avoid doing any of those things in the process of you shopping for and purchasing a home. This should be an obvious one, but don't make any changes to your job. Take any large cash deposits and put them in your bank account without documentation or anything again that's going to impact your financial picture. When you're planning to buy a home, it's super important that you start early and you're looking at what your credit score is. Now, I know it can be scary to start the process of figuring out what your credit score is because Credit Karma and Sesame and all of those out there aren't entirely accurate. I recently had a conversation with a client who thought her credit score was actually pretty low. And when they went to run it with the lender, they found out their credit score was much higher and they're actually able to purchase a home much sooner than they realized. So start early on looking at your credit score, get that professionally analyzed, and that does not have to be on a hard pull. That can actually be a soft pull. And there's lenders that I work with that are able to do that. So if you need recommendations and you're in Washington State, reach out to me and I will get you connected with the right people. Purchasing a home can be super exciting, and often the first thing you want to do is start looking at properties. So if you are wanting to go to a couple open houses or look at new construction, I have a couple things for you want to make sure you're avoiding just so you don't run into any issues there as well. First, I want to talk about new construction. When you walk onto a new construction site, it is super important that you already have your realtor identified before you ever do that. I have another video about new construction if you want to go watch that. But my point here is when you walk on that site, make sure when you register, you already have your realtor identified and you're able to write down their name. You do not want to run into the issue of potentially not being able to work with your realtor simply because you walked onto their site. Keep in mind that new construction, the person that sits there is not working for you, they're working for the builder. And it's super important that you still have representation so you're able to get things negotiated that they may or may not be telling you about. Similar to open houses or showings in general, super important that you already know what realtor you're going to be working with. Washington State recently changed laws around brokers agreements and brokers agency, and it's super important that you already have a signed agreement and you know exactly who you're going to be partnering with so you don't end up with a dud of a realtor. Again, I have another video about Washington State changes, and so if you have questions on what that looks like, feel free to go watch that video or ask me in the comments. My point here is not to say that you need to go through the whole formal process before ever looking at homes. It's just to say that because of the changes in Washington State, you want to make sure you're avoiding working with the wrong realtor. There are a lot of us out there. The average realtor sells about 2 homes a year, and you don't want to get stuck with somebody who's only selling 2 homes a year. You really want to be with somebody who's selling dozens, such as myself or another person in your local market if you're not in Washington State. So in summary, the big changes to make sure you are avoiding is not making any changes on your financing, not making any changes to your credit score, and not ending up with a dud of a realtor. And if you have more questions about what to do with any of those things or maybe how to find the right person working for you, feel free to leave a comment about your state, or you're welcome to pop on my calendar if you're in Washington State, and I'd love to chat with you.